It's deconverted Dan, it's deconverted man, it's deconverted Dan. Dan Green isn't my name, but it's the name I use. When I have to have a name, that's the one I choose. Yeah. Anyways, I will be your jaded skeptic that will be mocking a video as I wait for my car to be fixed. So my car's getting fixed. They're swapping out the battery and the radiator, not the radiator, the alternator or whatever. I don't know. They're making it work again. I don't know how cars work. I know you put gas in it. That's it. This guy was like, hey, yeah, that's your alternator. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Anyways, they're going to put a new one in. It's going to cost some money. So while I wait for them to do all that, I'm going to mock this stupid video that I found. Yeah, I'm going to mock this one right here. Agnostic and Christian identify the best argument for God. So let me just stop before I even get to the video and tell you about informal logic, because it's my comment that I left, which is there's no such thing as best argument in informal logic. Just sound or not sound. That's it. No ranks. You pass or fail. Guess what? Your arguments fail. And this is like I don't know why apologists do this and why. Well, I mean, Alex is getting his name out there and becoming a big, person to talk to, and he also happens to be atheist or agnostic or whatever he's calling himself. I don't know. And, great, wonderful. We've gotten a good thing to mock at thanks to him. Him talking to William Lane Craig and revealing how evil and vile William Lane Craig is. Well done. Much applause. But I don't watch him or anything. I don't have anything against him. I don't know what his arguments are or whatever. I have a bumper sticker that says, "This vehicle promotes informal logic." No, I should have that. No, but my license plate does have a thing, the border thing it says my other car is a lobster. So yeah. Now you can look on the road and see if you'll ever see that or not. You won't unless you're in my area. But anyways, okay, so that, that get that out of the way. There is only a good argument in the sense it's valid and sound. Well, it can't be sound unless it's also valid. So this is the weird thing with informal/formal logic, and I'll just be talking about informal logic. And because that's the thing I'll be talking about, I'm not going to say informal logic every time. Sometimes I'll probably just say logic, but if I say logic, I mean informal logic. Okay, just it's a little bit easier to say, IF or whatever. There is only a pass or fail. That's it. You could do the S tier ranking system if you wanted to. It's completely subjective, which is why I don't do that. I've joked at one point on my community tab thingy that some people read and some people don't even know exists or whatever. I don't really know how that works, by the way. I don't know if it shows up in people's feed or whatever. But anyways, that, I was like, oh, I'll do that, but it would all be F tier because all the arguments fail. So that's it. You either use your S tier only if you are sound. Anyway, so yeah. So whatever somebody finds convincing or compelling, they're talking about emotional tugs. They're talking about, oh, I really like that one, or I find that one hard to deal with, or something like that. But in terms of analyzing it, either it has logical fallacies or it doesn't. And if it does, that's it. You're done. You're like, okay, I got one fallacy. That's it. And I don't have to keep going because it doesn't matter. But usually I do keep going because it's funny to see how many fallacies there are in these arguments. So here's this. Okay.
I mean, for me, the most powerful argument for the existence of God has long since been the argument for the existence of God from the number of arguments for the existence of God. It's
Okay. That's his opinion, his take. I find that to be logically fallacious because an appeal to numbers doesn't mean anything. There are many arguments for the non-existence of God. Is there more arguments for the non-existence of God than the existence of God? I don't know. But the amount of X doesn't make X true. So there's lots of arguments for fill in the blank, or there's lots of whatever, or the Bible's a very popular book, most well-sold book in the world, or whatever. That doesn't make it true. Popularity, this is nothing more than an appeal to popularity, or in this case, kind of an appeal to numbers. Like, wow, there's so many arguments. Yeah, but are they sound? That's all that should matter is the argument sound or not? And if it isn't, then forget it. It doesn't matter. You can have all the arguments you want, but if they all suck, who cares? I can make several thousand of arguments against God, and that probably would beat out the number of arguments for God. I could, have an AI do it for me or whatever, and just to save some time and energy, be like, and make way more arguments against God. Well, now should you be impressed by that? No, because your impressedness shouldn't matter. It's about evaluating the claims and to scrutinize those claims and see if there's fallacies in them or not. And if there are, then that's it. You're done. That argument sucks. And you should be skeptical of the conclusion. The amount of arguments doesn't matter. Okay, the sheer number of bad arguments for X could possibly be evidence against the claim itself. No, because it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't work in the other direction either. No, because just because you have nothing but a million bad arguments, that doesn't make X false. Because informal logic is not about saying that something isn't true. It's only you only have a sound argument or you don't. So when you don't have a sound argument, there is the fallacy, which is a weird name for a fallacy, but whatever. And it is when you have an argument that sucks and you say, well, that means that the conclusion isn't true. No, that's not necessarily the case. Just because the argument is bad doesn't mean anything. What it does mean is you can't be sure about the conclusion. So premise 1, lobsters exist. Premise 2, if lobsters don't exist, my light is on. Conclusion, therefore my light is on. Well, my light is on, but the argument sucked. So it didn't matter that my light's on or off. It doesn't matter because you don't have access to my light. You don't know what I'm talking about, what light, and what connection is there between lobsters and light being on? None. There's no association causation link there. There's no argument for that premise. There's multiple fallacies in there. And so because of that, you have to doubt. You have not doubt. I always want to say doubt. Wrong word. You have to be skeptical. You have to be skeptical of the conclusion, which I think is different than doubt. But I mean, use your own words, whatever you want to use, to hold it in question. The conclusion could be true that my light is on. It could be false. We don't know. We know that we have a bad argument. That's all we know. And so we then take that conclusion and put it, I like to say I put it on my skeptical shelf that's in my brain. I picture this shelf in my that I have, in my head, and I go, okay, it's going up there on the shelf until I have more data for it, until I have evidence for it, until I have a decent argument for it. So you go to used car dealer and they say, the car has only been driven every Sunday by a grandma to church. And it's like, well, that's nice. Can I just see the data about the car? Because I don't care what you say. It doesn't matter, even if it's true, right? But they might make a persuasive sounding argument that's full of fallacies. And you go, well, that's not a very good argument you've made about this car here. And so now I have to be skeptical that that's true, because that sounds like a story, doesn't sound like it's legitimate. How do you know that she only did this? Did you witness every action with this car? I mean, we can tell it has low mileage, but that's it. We don't know what was, and that. So, but we're not saying that the conclusion is false. We're just saying that the argument fails, so we have to be skeptical that the conclusion is true, which is different than saying it is false. Okay. So hopefully that, yeah. But I mean, it sure doesn't help your case if you have nothing but bad arguments. I mean, that really does make it look bad. It's like, I've got all these bad arguments for this. Well, yeah. I mean, that's interesting. Why is that? I mean, anyways, let's see. Okay. Good point, though. Thank you for bringing that up, Trusty Ape.
Seems like anywhere you look, you can construct one. There's an argument from...
Linux. Why is Linux... Okay, I don't want to, look. Why? This stupidest smart guy. And he did mathematics at some point in time, right? Like, he has a couple papers. That's it. That's his claim to fame. He failed as in his chosen profession, so he became an apologist. And I don't know why people listen to this guy, but whatever. All right, anyway.
And consciousness or beauty or contingency, the existence of this microphone, it's quite phenomenal in that respect.
Yeah, I'd love to hear the argument for God from the existence of the microphone. I want to know how that one works.
And this recalls to my mind the great passage in C.S. Lewis's Surprised by Joy, which is his autobiography. And he's describing how God is sort of breaking down his defenses. And it's like he's losing a chess match piece by piece as he's reading George MacDonald.
I don't know why people are... I mean, C.S. Lewis, his Narnia books were cool. I liked them. I like the films. I like the BBC more than the more modern films. But yeah, he's just, I mean, whatever. But he said stuff, so people like him. I don't know. But yeah, he continuously found reasons to convince himself that God existed, is what he did. I'm not impressed by that.
Donald and G.K. Chesterton and Herbert and Milton and these other great Christian authors. And he puts it like this. I see what I underlined here. Basically, there are traps everywhere. He says you can't be too careful when you're an atheist and you're reading, because there are traps everywhere. And those emboldened words remind me of Alex's words. Any way you look, you can construct one. And I'm not attributing.
Yeah. I don't think that there's anything that I could read that would suddenly... Well, no, there is something I could read that would convince me about God, and that would be a valid and sound argument. But other than that, I don't think that there's anything I could read that would convince me that there's a God. And it goes to the real problem of identifying God in the first place, and what is God, and how would I know that that thing is God? I don't know the answer to that question. I mean, I can come up with hypotheticals, but any advanced technology appears to be magical. So, in Star Trek, there's Q, and Q's basically God for all intents and purposes. We don't see him bring back anybody to life, we do see that kind of happen, because Riker does it when he's Q. So, but then again, it might have been all a giant illusion. So who knows? But But yeah, if there's a powerful technology or beings or race of creatures or whatever that can do things that appear to be magical to us and say that they're God, how would we know that they were or weren't?
Reading to Alex belief in that argument or any argument. I think he's an agnostic, but I think he's summarizing our views there. And this is a fascinating idea. The fact that there's an impressive diversity of arguments for God, which is itself a kind of argument. So let's give some examples.
No, because an argument from a plentiful plenty or argument of numbers, an argument from popularity would be a logical fallacy. So it's not an argument at that point. You have already failed in your argumentation structure. You'd be like, hey, look, premise one, there's lots of arguments for God. Premise two, I don't know, lobsters don't like that or something, and then conclusion, therefore God. I don't know how that. Look, I hope he tells us. How does this argument work? Let me know, please. Give me the syllogism. I bet $10 he's not going to give me the syllogism. Yeah.
You might say that the ontological argument intercepts us at the rational plane.
You mean the irrational plane? Ontological argument, please.
By our thinking, and thus in its more technical expressions, it involves philosophy. You might say the fine-tuning argument intercepts.
The fine-tuning argument is complete and utter garbage.
Us at the physical plane, at the level of our observations about the universe, and thus in its more technical.
Well, actually, it's not about the observations of the universe. It's about lying about the observations of the universe and tinkering with numbers until you get really big number, and then saying, "Wow, God must have done that."
Technical expressions involves science and specifically physics, for example. You might say that the moral argument intercepts us at the existential plane, at the level.
The moral argument is just precept with extra steps. And you can't have good or bad unless there's a God. So you're not allowed to say good or bad. It's all just opinion. Yeah, whatever.
Level of our conscience and intuition.
No.
And in real life involves relationships and laws. You might say that the argument for Christ's resurrection intercepts.
The argument for Christ's resurrection. Oh, you mean that circular argument there? Yeah, what a bunch of crap.
Us at the historical plane.
It's not historical. That's hysterical that you think it's historical.
Level of our hearing of testimony.
Testimony. There's no testimony at all. There is no testimony. There's people saying that there's testimony. But what the hell is testimony? Testimonial. This product is great. How do I know that you really that's not just the company saying that it's great? Come on, man. Just give me something.
Others, both oral and written, and thus involves historical knowledge and historical study. And there's lots of others, and these even have.
You know what would be great? It's just God. Just give me God. That would be good. Just show me God. That would be great. Then I wouldn't need all these stupid arguments.
Some overlap, but the point is diversity. We're getting hit from multiple different directions here. Whether you're considering eyewitness testimony.
I just got to make fun of him for a little bit. Whatever. Just whatever. Get to the point. You're not making a sound argument.
Or just thinking off by yourself, whether you're looking up at the night sky at the.
Look at the sky! It's not look at the trees. Let's look at the freaking night sky. Oh my God, you're moronic.
Stars, or whether you're looking within at the moral law within your own heart,
which is there is no what it's not even a thing.
As Lewis says, there are traps everywhere.
No, not really. But let's entertain this wacky ass thought. Like, God's playing hide and seek with us. He's put little hints that he's existing here, there, and everywhere. Little traps. Oh, look, look. You got morals. Where did that come from? Oh, hello. And then, which one? But then, like, which one leads you to the real God? Because, like, that one, you have to, like, know about the Judeo-Christian Bible and not just discard it as another holy book. Like, how crazy is that? How silly is that? Has anyone, maybe somebody has anyone ever read, like, all the holy books that there are and been like, okay, I'll come to a conclusion about God? I know I haven't. I haven't read any of them except for the Bible, and that one's boring. I'm not interested in reading these other holy books. They're boring. God would write better than this. It wouldn't be a boring book. It'd be interesting. Speaking about reading, I want to ask you all a question. When's the last time you read an actual physical book, not something on the screen? Because I've been seeing a lot of videos lately talking about illiteracy is springing up, especially in young people and for some reason young men more than young girls or young women or whatever. I don't know, but or maybe that was just the one guy's opinion. It might not be based on anything. And the reason is because of the stupid phone and how we're doom scrolling and people are reading tweets, but they're not reading long forms books, so they don't know how to actually read anymore. Like, and that's like, oh, that sucks. So take some time today, find a book and read it. I've got several books you can read. If you don't have one, you could order those. But while you're waiting for mine, you could read, some other book. But yeah, it was just, anyways, a little bit of distraction there. What's this idiot going to say next? Some stupid stuff? Yeah, probably.
And this seems kind of consistent with what you might expect. If God exists and he wants his existence to be known to us, he would communicate himself in a diversity of ways.
There's only one way that God needs to communicate itself to me or anyone else that wouldn't require all this game. It's like a game that God is playing. Like, can you find me? I'll leave you little hints here and there. Hi, I'm God. How's it going? Oh, okay. That would work. How about that? God apparently, supposedly, spoke to people in the Bible, but not today. And it reminds me of when I was still a Christian, but I was starting to doubt things. I went to this Bible study with little younger people there, like kids, because I was like, in that, I don't remember what the situation was in full, but at any rate, I was there and just listening in. And one of the kids was like, well, why doesn't God speak to us anymore? Oh, because and then he talked himself out of the question. He's like, oh, because he doesn't need to or something. I don't know, but it was a really good question. And then he talked himself out of the question. I was like, no, man, that's a good question. Why doesn't God talk to anybody ever at all anymore? Did God run out of things to say? God selects certain people to speak to. That's convenient. Joseph Smith got talked to by, well, not God, but an angel, whatever. And this guy, this guru, and this person here. And, oh yeah, God talked to me just now, and oh yes, I'm speaking to God. Of course you are. Sure you are. Why not? Hey, God just said hi to me. Oh, cool. Didn't say it out loud or any way that I can confirm it's God, but just trust me, man. Just God, your God is incompetent at letting us know that it exists. And all the gods are.
Just like a husband who wants to communicate his love to his wife isn't only going to say, I love you. He might say that and buy her flowers and...
Well, that's nice. So in this scenario, God is the husband I'm pretty sure the wife would leave because the husband is invisible, intangible, untouchable, doesn't communicate, doesn't send her flowers, doesn't say anything, but has friends of his write a book that says that he loves her, but only if she accepts the sacrifice of his only son. Yeah, that's a good marriage. Yeah. What just, come on.
Do the dishes and take her on a nice vacation and do lots of different things to communicate that love.
I gotta leave a comment. I'm gonna type that out. The husband, God, is invisible, doesn't talk, doesn't get flowers, and had some friends write a book that says, I love you if you worship me and also accept that I let my son get killed for you. Then I love you. Yeah. Great marriage. Not. Sir. Yeah. All right, there we go. Yeah. All right.
Lest I frustrate anybody, though, let me
Oh,
make a
you're
distinction
frustrating
between
me.
an abundance of diversity in the testimony of God and overpowering testimony for God.
Oh, overpowering. We wouldn't want that. No. Too much testimony would be bad.
You can have the first of those without the second. You can have lots of different testimonies without that being overpowering testimony that is just impossible to resist. I just want to.
Yeah, we wouldn't want it to be impossible to resist because that would be coherent. He wants a relationship with you so badly, but he doesn't want it so badly that he's going to make it obvious that he wants it. I mean, duh. It's like, what the? It's so stupid. It's so stupid. What else can I say? I mean, it baffles me how ludicrous this really is. Oh my god. Just really, oh. Yeah, if you have too much evidence, that would be bad.
I say this because someone could hear this and think, okay, so you're saying it's just, wow, there's so many testimonies. It must be so powerful that nobody can resist this. But what Christians believe is that God has made himself available, but not overpowering like that. Blaise
made himself available, but not overpowering. Why? I thought you wanted a relationship with me. Well, kinda. I want a relationship, but I want you to kind of find me, because I'm hiding, because I'm sneaky. And I want you to look at the things in the right way, in the right places, the right time, because, I care about you. Yeah, sure, that makes no sense. Yeah, makes fucking no sense.
Pascal put this well. He said, don't criticize
fuck you, Pascal.
Us for something that we openly profess. We believe in a God who hides, a God.
Yeah, no, that's not. Why do you believe in a God that hides? It's so silly. It's
who comes in humility in Jesus Christ and who can only be found in humility. That's the whole Christian story and the whole drama of Jesus coming into this world, God incarnate in secret and humility.
But he was there and people interacted with him and he supposedly did miracles for them to see. So he was overpowering in that time period, but not now. So Jesus, God, was okay with overpowering their senses back then, but not anymore. Why? What? Why? It makes no sense.
divinity. And for more on that, I have a whole video on divine hiddenness where I'm drawing from Pascal and also from Soren Kierkegaard.
Yeah. Let me put that comment in here. So, Jesus overpowered the people who saw him do magic, and that was fine back then. But now, nah, sure. Sure.
So Christians don't believe that God's revelation of himself is overpowering. So
there's my phone call. Here we go. Hello?
that you just cannot possibly resist it. No, you can resist it. He partially reveals himself with an adequate revelation, but he also partially hides. But the testimonies for God are diverse and cumulative. They're diverse in that they come at different levels, and they're cumulative such that they all cohere with each other and build off of one another, which is a really interesting thing. I'll put it kind of crudely like this, and forgive the stereotypical nature of this way of putting it. But if you're a math nerd, you can find God. If you're a football jock, you can also find God. And in either case, you can find God in a way that's authentic to your own personal experience. The math nerd doesn't need to stop doing math and go play sports to experience something different in order to be prepared to meet God. The football player doesn't need to stop and go learn a bunch of math before they can find God. As these two put it later, God can meet you where you are.
I like to imagine if Christianity were true, what might I expect?
Yes.
And I suppose what I would kind of expect is for God to meet you where you're at, which means that if you are of that kind of mindset,
He'd make.
All right, I don't know what they said because I wasn't listening, but I figured I'd have you guys, girls and robots, listen to that while I was on the phone about the car. Now the car is fixed now, so now I'm gonna go get my car. Screw this video, the video that I'm watching, and also this video that you're listening to. I don't even know that I'll leave it up. It's not that good of a video, to be honest. What did I do? Just complain and yell at the guy for being stupid? I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's entertaining. You let me know. Okay? I don't know. I can do better than this. I know I can do better than this. Whatever. Anyways, thanks for watching. Time to go walk and go get my car. Oh my God, it's the whole thing. Alright. See you next time. Be skeptical and learn informal logic and read a book. Alright. Later.